So, you've decided it's time to train your pup. Good choice. Dogs who have poor manners are not fun to be around. Now, more than 80% of dogs surrendered to shelters have never received any training. Untrained dogs can be a hazard to take on walks, they can be a bother, or even accidentally harm your guests. They can destroy your house, and these behaviors can really get in the way of a good relationship with your furry friend. Not to mention, if they harm themselves or others, that's probably going to be a really expensive medical bill. But what kind of training is best? You've probably seen a lot of options, no matter where you live. How do you choose the one that's right for you? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in today's video, and I think you're going to love it. I have been in the training business for over 20 years. Of those years, I have offered a lot of different types of instruction. So believe me when I say that I have some really great info that I want to share with you today. Now, before we begin, hit that subscribe button so you get notified when the next video goes live. Michelle here with How to Train a Dream Dog. Alright, let's talk all about the different types of training options there are for you and your dog. Did you catch that? Yes, I said for you and your dog. That's because training doesn't just happen to the dog. We have to train the humans too. Dogs and humans don't speak the same language, so through training, we help both of them learn to understand each other and communicate. Mostly, we're working with the dog to teach them how to exist in a human world, but it has to be done in the right way so the dogs understand. And we want to make sure all their needs are met, so understanding how a dog thinks and learns is really important. Often new puppy owners get really frustrated when their puppy isn't performing on cue. We even hear people call their dogs stubborn because they feel like their dog should be doing something that they aren't. I have a whole workshop that is a great introduction to how dogs think and learn, and if you haven't checked it out yet, the link is in the description below. I think it's a really good foundation for how to train your dog. It's called the Better Puppy Behavior Workshop, and it's free. When you think of using services of a dog trainer, you probably first picture someone coming to your home, working with you and your dog for an hour or so, and getting lots of great information. This is true. I have done this, and I still have a few clients that I visit from time to time. But it's not my favorite method of training. I enjoy it because I get to meet new people and new dogs. But honestly, I don't think it's the most effective way to learn. Let me tell you why. Have you ever noticed what happens when someone new comes to your house? Your pup gets really crazy and excited, am I right? Unless you've trained him not to do that. So new people bring new smells, and it changes the whole dynamic of the room. You might be working with your dog on leash skills, and maybe you've got him part of the way there, but you need just a little bit of help to fine-tune some of the pieces. So you call in a trainer, and he or she shows up, and boom, all the skills that you had just been working on kind of go out the window. I don't think I know of a single dog trainer that doesn't own a dog of their own, so you can imagine that the smells are also off the charts for the pup that you're working with. I also don't like that the timing can be problematic. If you scheduled a trainer to come at, say, 3 p.m., what happens if your pup's schedule gets a little off that day, and now this is right in the middle of a nap time? Or maybe he's not really that hungry, or maybe he just woke up from a nap with tons of energy. He certainly won't be able to focus very well with all that pent-up energy. That's not the ideal time to be working on some new things. You aren't going to want to waste your hour exercising your dog while the trainer's there trying to teach you all about important things you need to learn. You've probably seen the graphics like this one in my Facebook group, Puppy Training with Michele Lennon. We use it a lot because it explains a lot. You see here that the best time to work on new things with your pup is when their batteries are right in that middle point, not too full, right? Just out of the crate after a long nap and not too drained or after a long play session or a walk. Getting that timing just right when a new person arrives can be a challenge. Another thing to think about with a new person coming in is the pandemic. It's part of our lives right now. Do you really want someone new coming into your home working closely with you and your pup? Maybe. Maybe you don't. So it is just an added piece of the puzzle that you do have to weigh carefully. Now, a lot of my students in the past year have come to me because of the value of the online training that they can do without leaving home and without bringing anyone into their home. Also remember that a private trainer, just like the one you'd hire for exercise or cooking or any other skill you're working on, they can be expensive. Prices range all over the country, but you may have to pay up to $100 an hour or more, and that's just for 1 hour. What happens when they leave? Now, you do have to work on those skills still, right? Will you remember everything they said? What happens if the puppy didn't perform the same way for you that they did when the trainer was present? Time to call that trainer in again, right? And pay a little bit more money. I'm not saying this is a bad way of training. I do love working in this way. Sometimes, but you do have to weigh the pros and the cons of the most effective and economical way. I would often get calls after a lesson because the person I met with was trying to explain what I said to the rest of their family and they needed a little bit of extra help. So I had to kind of condense an hour-long lesson into a few-minute phone call just to be able to get the rest of the family on the same page. After all, there are a lot of things we call the mechanics of training that can make or break the training process with your puppy. If you don't put your hand in the right spot, or the timing is a little bit off, or your distraction levels are a little too great, you aren't going to get the results that you're looking for. That's why it can be so frustrating to have someone come in for an hour at a time, but then after they leave, you can't remember half of what they said you were supposed to do for homework. Now, remember what I said about dog training, that it's not just training the dog, but you too. Well, it's true. If you keep making oopses and your pup learns skills the wrong way, they aren't going to ever perform the way you thought they would in your brain. Besides, trainers can only cram so much into a 1-hour session. Okay, let's talk about some other training options here. Going to a training facility like a local pet store. This is a really popular option for some people, and you might even think that you get the added bonus of the socialization for your dog. Well, I'm going to rain on your parade just a little bit here. It's not actually the type of training I would recommend, and I've done this type of training for most of my 20-year career. So believe me when I say I would pass on this type if I were you. You can picture the scenario. You've got 5, 7, maybe even 10 dogs in a room. The instructor is trying to give you some good information and demonstrate with a dog from class, or maybe one of their own demo dogs, who's probably already well skilled. Meanwhile, your dog isn't totally trained yet, and that's why you're there seeking training, right? So maybe he's getting all riled up by the other dogs standing near you. Meanwhile, someone else's dog is barking nonstop because he's super stressed and super excited, and he doesn't know how else to release all that anxious energy he has. And you're working hard to hear the trainer over the barking, and then you look down and poo. Yeah, that's right, your puppy had to poo because he was so stressed and so nervous, and now you have to clean that up, and then you're gonna miss what the trainer's explaining. Believe me, I have seen this and more, standing in the trainer's position. It's not really ideal. I have taught classes where the entire room was full of barking dogs, and they all thought it was playtime. Now, taking your pup somewhere also involves a car ride, which can be really stressful if you haven't worked on it with your dog. And now we've dialed up that distraction level to an all-time high by going to a place with other dogs, tons of smells, probably bright lights, also a lot of sounds too. I cringe just thinking about it. Most dogs under a year get some sort of car sickness too. After all, their equilibrium isn't fully developed until they're about a year of age. This means it's going to feel like they are on a roller coaster the entire car ride to the pet store. This leads to a lot of car sickness to clean up. Ew. Let's talk about health for a moment. This is also something you want to consider from the health perspective for you and your dog. Now, a good training class will screen dogs for their vaccination schedule before admitting them in. And they should also group dogs by skill and size. But many of them don't do that and just allow open enrollment. It's like putting some kindergartners in with the infants all in one room and expecting them to learn how to do math from one another. It's not going to happen. Now, I want to differentiate a training class from a puppy socialization class. A socialization class is for puppies from 10 to 18 weeks, and it is a really good idea. However, it has to be done safely as most puppies are still getting their full vaccinations. Puppy socialization class, when done right, can be a very good option. You'll want to ask some questions ahead of time to make sure it's a good fit for your puppy. Ideally, the class size will be small. 5 puppies at the max. The time they get together is limited to about 15 to 30 minutes. And you'll want them to have very frequent rest breaks to avoid overstimulation. And the puppies are also matched in terms of temperament and size and play style to ensure There will be no accidental injuries. You should know that going into a puppy socialization class, that your puppy is going to be also hanging out with similar pups, not pups that are going to be bossy and too dominant. Definitely ask the trainers how they manage puppies at different stages of vaccinations as well. That's right, these classes should be run by professional trainers, not just someone who loves puppies. Now, not all classes will be perfect, but you want to do your research ahead of time to find the one that's the best fit for you and your puppy. These classes are not about teaching the puppy new skills, but simply exposing them to other dogs for short periods of time and letting your pup explore these new scenarios. That's it. No training, just exploring. So you can see the difference and how you can think that a puppy socialization class will solve your puppy's needs. For more information on how to socialize your puppies when they're really young and likely haven't had all their vaccinations, check out this video here. Okay, what about another type of training? How about the board and train programs? Now, I've done these too. We've had hundreds and hundreds of dogs stay with us for training over the years. With board and train programs, you typically spend a few $1,000s to send the puppy off for training, and he or she will come back to you with foundation skills. But unless you actually learn all the skills that your puppy is learning and you learn how to teach her, you're not going to be able to get her to duplicate what the trainer did with her. Respect isn't transferable. The trainer will teach you what they did to get your pup to follow the commands. But if you don't actually do any of the work when your pup gets home, you aren't going to have a good bond with your dog, and your pup isn't going to be eager to work with you. The most successful humans who use board and train programs are the ones that put in the extra time to practice all the training games and the routines. This means every day they were going through the training routines that were taught to them and had been given for homework. You can expect there will still be lots of homework when that puppy gets returned to you from the boarding program. Think about it like this. Your puppy can only learn so much in a short amount of time, so you can't expect to get back a service dog quality pup when they've really only just begun the training. And a lot of people expect their dog will come back and be superstars, but in reality, the dog still needs a lot more training beyond those 2 or 3 weeks they stayed with the trainer. And many facilities keep the dogs in kennels and pull them out anywhere from 1 to 3 times a day for about 30 to 60 minutes at a time. While the rest of the day, they are either waiting for the next session, sleeping, or maybe you paid a little extra so that they could play in play groups with other dogs. When the dogs came to stay with me, they became a temporary member of our family and they stayed in our home with our other dogs. Most facilities can't duplicate that home-like atmosphere. A board and train isn't a magic wand to fix all the problems. So now you're thinking, Michelle, okay, well, you don't like any of these methods, but how can I train my dog? Not true. I do like these methods, but there's also one option that is dear to my heart. I can tell you that my business experiences have allowed me to evolve and change my business model. About 3 years ago, I actually started an online dog training program. Now, we have students in over 50 countries. I decided that all those distractions of an in-person class and the time-consuming and expensive nature of one-on-one personal training was just not ideal for everyone. So I decided to take my in-person programs and put them online. And with the help of Nicole, my dear friend, and another certified trainer I've worked with for many years, we filmed over 50 videos to teach you how to teach your pup. These skills include fun games for impulse control, like how to stop counter surfing and recall or how to come on command, and definitely a lot of leash skills, so your walks can be more pleasant and enjoyable with you and your pup. This course has so much great content, and we're always adding to it often, with new resources that you can print and maybe even hang on the fridge, or even more videos explaining new skills and more cool infographics. Who doesn't love a visual? I'm a visual person. The training videos in the course are amazing to watch at home when it's the right time for you and your pup to work on training, and they can be watched over and over again. Now, when you enroll in the course, you have unlimited access to the videos. That's a lot of time. I do that because I want you to always have the information available to you, to go back and work with your puppy on these skills. We all need refreshers, right? Well, your puppy is the same. You can also have everyone in the house watch the same training video so you're all on the same page with the training. Remember what I said about how respect isn't transferable? Well, that's the same with the family too. Each family member needs to be working on training with your pup, not just you. You will all want to practice the same games with your puppy so the skills are solid regardless of who is working on them with the puppy. But there's a little catch. I didn't think that the videos themselves were enough, because I actually really do love working with my private clients and helping them tweak their methods to work on a better solution for their situation. And to be honest, not all dogs respond in the same way. Now, you can definitely do it yourself if you'd like and watch the videos as often for as long as you'd like, but if you think you'd like some extra support and accountability and feedback, we offer that in the pro level. Students who enroll in the pro level of the course are able to upload videos of the behavior or practice sessions and get feedback from myself or the other certified trainers on our team. I love watching the videos our students have submitted for feedback. Now, there's no need to be an award-winning filmmaker to do this. Most students just prop their phone up on the floor or even in a shoe. They hit record and they do a few tries of the skill they're working on with their dog. Even a video that is a 1 or 2 minute video is perfect for us to evaluate and help our students. And other students in the Facebook group also learn from this feedback and apply it to their own work with their dogs. For further support, the pro level students are welcome to pop on to one of the group Zoom calls with the trainers and I. That takes place 3 times a week. So the Zoom calls are one of my favorite activities of the work I do throughout the week. We get all kinds of questions on the topics. Biting, getting along with other dogs, taking your pup with you on trips, crate training, potty training, you name it, we cover it in those calls. And also in the private student Facebook group. So you can see I'm a little biased about the course I offer. Of course, I think it's the best way to train. I created it after years of teaching using other methods I talk about in this video. Classes and board and trains and private sessions. It's okay if you make a different choice, but I can tell you that for the safety, happiness, and bonding of your pet, I would strongly advise that you participate in some kind of training. Understanding canine communication and behavior is a really important part of dog ownership. And we owe it to our family members to give them the best part of ourselves that we can. Now, which skill are you most excited about teaching your puppy?